December 24th, I'm on the road again. Making sure the kids ain't got a bigger bit to stove again. Dash you down and listen, nigga, look at what I'm rolling in.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's Christmas. For some. For a lot of people, it's Christmas. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to the others. But you know what else it is? It's a day I prefer above Christmas. Because frankly, you need this day to have the Christmas spirit anyway, so you got to listen to me a little bit. What is that day? It's Tell the Truth Monday. And it's fitting that it's Christmas. Because for those of you who believe in Santa Claus and all of that stuff, with the Krampus, you get a lump of coal if you're bad. So you have to tell the truth. And it's the first day that cycle begins. It's Christmas. The lump of coal was you either got one or you got presents because you were good. So we have to tell the truth starting Christmas Day on Tell the Truth Monday of all days. How fitting. Thank you so much for being here at First Kick Seahawks. We're working on a logo. Please like and subscribe. So I'm really excited to be here actually after that Titans game. I'm going to do my best to tell the truth. And I even made myself a little list of specific topics I want to bring up. So here's the thing. That Titans team ran for a lot of yards on us. And they weren't throwing the ball. But we went into this game knowing, oh, they're gonna run for a lot of yards on us. And we knew this Titans team has good linebackers. And they're going to rush you as hard as they fucking can. And you know what? They did. But it's about the circle of toughness. That gets brought up all the time, the circle of toughness. It's about grit. It gets brought up all the time. They even like to put like different meanings like grounded, rigid, intelligent, tenacious. Some KRS-One shit right there. But you know, ultimately, if you go up against a team that's hungry and backed against the wall, it's about grit and toughness. And they were ready to go out there. People were like, man, they lost their defensive tackle and they lost two of their left ends, the Titans, and they were ready to fucking go, weren't they? And sure, you can criticize Brown, who was sick and had an illness, and he had a couple high snaps. It's probably his worst game of the season, I'd say. And there was some problems on the interior, but that team is designed to pop the interior. It's their whole goal. And so what was the point of dealing with that, as we mentioned, was when they throw a fire zone, when they run a flush, when they run a pirate, and they send in that extra linebacker, throw to the empty spot. You got to read it because there's going to be a mathematical problem against your offensive line. Oh, they look terrible out there. Well, yeah. It's because they were designed to look terrible. In our offense with Geno Smith and hopefully Kenneth Walker, eventually with Kenneth Walker in the second half, started to take advantage of the open holes from the different blitzing arrangements that this very tenacious Titans defense had. And so you can say, man, we got to play better. I agree. I don't think our offense has filled the circle of toughness. And I think that's the core problem with our offense all year, and it starts with our offensive coordinator. And once he starts making those toughness type plays, buckle up, buckaroos, as we fucking run the hell out of the ball, things start to work. You got to let your guys get popped every once in a while. But it opens things up, and then we battled, and grit and toughness is something that Pete Carroll has always valued. That's why I started to kind of like Geno Smith. I'm like, oh, this dude's tenacious as hell. And he's constantly putting us in, situations at the end of the game to come back. And Drew Lock's pretty tenacious too. I'll give you credit, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more later. But on defense, our defensive line and our linebackers, they showed some circle of toughness against this Titans team, even though they were running all over us. And our defensive backs were also starting to show some toughness, which comes up to Tariq Woolen. Oh no, I did it. I've been making fun of casters this whole time. That's the first time I messed up. Riq Woolen. It's the first time Riq Woolen seemed to really show tenacity tackling since like week 1, his rookie season. Why do I say that? Well, do you remember that stinger he got his rookie season? It was right at the very beginning. Yeah, he never really seemed to tackle as hard ever since. I think he gauged in his brain, well, if I hit this hard, it's going to give me a stinger. So he backed up. But he's a big dude, really athletic. Most of these corners, receivers he's covering are teeny. The halfbacks he's going up against are teeny because they're little scat backs. So he completes the circle of toughness to end the game. Knocks the guy backwards so the clock continues to run. It's game over. And after the game, Pete Carroll said that Woolen was a little surprised that he could hit that hard and that he could get back up and be okay, and that the receiver could be okay. He's like, I guess this armor I'm wearing to cushion these types of blows is all right. Circle of toughness being engaged into his brain. He might already be gritty. He might be afraid to hurt somebody because he's been so big his life. Or he might be afraid to get hurt because of the stinger. That's scary shit. There's a healthy balance, especially when you see the way that Jamal Adams' career has been going, where he flings himself around and then crazy things start going. Imagine being a rookie entering your second year, and your first year you start off with a stinger and you see this guy just constantly get ripped apart. Might want to play a little safe too, right? Maybe a little less physical, just subconsciously. They got Jamal Adams off the field, benched Woolen for a week, bring him back in. He just looks more physical. And we'll have to see against the Steelers. But I'm glad to see this development, because he's a big dude who should be able to, hit people. Hit him pretty fucking hard too. Especially with the speed he can get up. You see, even right now in this Giants-Eagles game, Brown keeps getting the ball in his hands, and the Eagles are blapping him so hard that he drops the ball. Imagine if Woolen, with his coverage skills, could also add that to his repertoire, where he could hit a receiving target so hard that the ball comes out, instead of being afraid to hit, trying to get around and, just take the dude down, bro. And do it with momentum so he goes backwards. Which brings me to the next truth I want to talk about, which is Bobby Wagner versus King Henry. Oh my God. I want to rewatch the game only to watch that matchup. Especially once Brooks went down, it was just Bobby on Henry. Let's fucking go, bro. Oklahoma drill. He reads the gaps, they meet. Who wins? And oftentimes, once Henry would get to the second level, Bobby would get up there and kind of like get around the hips. He would hit him, right? But he can't hit him and knock him back. So he would grab him and then drop his knees to the ground. And it would just naturally like, okay, you're going to stop here. But then it would give up like 2 or 3 yards every single time after contact with Bobby Wagner. Because that's how good Derrick Henry is, running an inside zone right at a middle linebacker. But if it wasn't for Bobby Wagner doing that, it's Bobby in his prime could do it. He'd have enough momentum and mass to just be like, I'm going to meet you in the hole. And then that would be amazing to see. But he's still just a super smart player. And when Brooks goes down, you expect some chaos. But Bush comes in and looks great. He was supposed to be filling in for Jamal Adams. And then they end up having to use him as the Brooks replacement. But having a Bobby Wagner on the team that has so much knowledge, he can tell Devin Bush, line up over there. I'm going to be going over here. Do this. You go over there. Defensive line, I need you to shift to blah, blah, blah. He's really knowledgeable. And that's way more valuable than he's lost a step in pass coverage. He's on a 1-year, every single year deal. Sign the year. If he decides to keep playing, great. If he thinks that he's about to fall apart, or he wants to retire, he hangs it up. If he says he's good to go for another year, bring Bobby Wagner back. Because I saw a man not just meet him at the hole and stop him for 3, but I saw him get in the backfield and blow Derrick Henry up before he got momentum. Time and time again. It was getting Derrick in momentum to meet Bobby. Like, yeah, they were getting a lot of yards on the outside. And when they were running inside, sure, he was still getting a lot of yards on Bobby. But the way he was playing, he also was stuffing the fuck out of Derrick Henry and Spears over and over again. Blitzed Ryan Tannehill and got a sack. And you can just have somebody play robber above him and just have him go to town. Just feast. Or have him play the running back hook in the middle, little slant plays and stuff in the middle. He's smart. Keep him around. That's a truth. Woolen improving. Truth. Bobby Wagner improving. Well, not even just improving, just showing by example toughness. This is how you fucking man up and tackle somebody who wants to run down your throat. Everyone on that defense was ready to go. Williams, tough as hell. Tough as nails. They had to play the 49ers 3 times this year. It's not even getting a bye week this year. Tough as nails. Battling. And when you see a team that wants to run the fuck on you, and then they do it again, and then they do it again, and they're literally built to it. They're not falling apart. Even though on their offensive line, yeah, their left tackle Duncan, who's bad, went out and Dillon came in. Their left guard is still good. Their center is still solid. The right tackle, its company needs help, but their tight end blocks really well. Tight end blocks really well. Point is, we were still all over this team that all they could really do was run the hell out of the ball. And they're good at it. And they have the right skill players and tools for it. And we battled. All the way to the fourth quarter, our defense didn't let up. They didn't let up. And the best part about them not letting up is that it gave our offense an opportunity to come back in the fourth quarter and win the game, which just rewards your defense playing good fucking football, coming back and being competitive. And sure, we were struggling in the first half, which I just don't think our offense plays gritty football in the first half by play design. But our defense flying all over the field. We have 45 sacks this year, which I think leads the NFL until like Monday Night Football is over. Regardless, we're getting to the quarterback way better than we did years prior. And we're not giving our defense a lot of credit for that because it's so spread around. How many sacks does Reed have? Does he have like 6 or 7 this year? It was one of his best years since the season he had 10 sacks for the Seahawks. We still got 2 games to go against Rudolph and Kyler Murray, who also get sacked a lot. Woolens with a dropped pick 6. But if his confidence is coming back, confidence is a dangerous thing, and confidence is contagious. And when you got confident players that are gritty as fuck, and they set a good example for all the other players, suddenly you got a gritty as fuck defense. Love it. If we can take this energy, this grittiness, and then be like, okay, that was a practice session against Derrick Henry and company. Now we're going to go against the Steelers team, Tomlin, and we're going to show them what true grit is. Yeah, I didn't realize what I was saying until I said it. I'm sorry. If you know, you know. Captain America in the corner. I understand that reference. Yeah. Defense is gritty as fuck. And I want to keep Reed for next year. I want to keep Williams for this year to keep playing next to Jones and Mafe. Hall, gritty as fuck. Hall monitor makes a tackle on Derrick Henry. I want to see him bulk up. See what he can do next year. Darrell Taylor keeps getting beat on the outside physically. But what I liked from him is that he set up some sacks. And I don't think maybe we're giving him enough credit for that, because sacks aren't the only thing. But what I was seeing is him working that left tackle. And you know, he goes out and then he spins back, but when he spins back, he gets in the way of the left guard, which opens up the A gap for a rusher to get in there and sack the quarterback, or at least pressure the quarterback. Remember, the defensive ends and the defensive linemen, their job isn't necessarily rush the passer right now. They're like wide receivers. They need to get to a specific spot on the field at a specific time to make the player do this. Because they know the quarterback's going to be here step 3, should be here step 5, and should be here step 7. Wide receivers know the quarterback should be at step 3 when I'm at this position, should be at step 5 when I'm at this position, should be at step 7 when I'm at this position. And if they're not, scramble drill. So a lot of times you'll say, well, a receiver isn't getting their targets. Well, it's because you're running a sail route. And you're just having him clear a bunch of space to open something else for somebody else. If you're running fire zones and you're blitzing Bobby Wagner, then you need him to take up the space of the left tackle and then have somebody take up the space of the left guard to create a rushing lane. Because remember, a linebacker is basically just a fullback or a halfback or a running back. Depends on their depth and where they're lined up over the center or the guard, blah, blah, blah. But if a linebacker is blitzing, it's the same exact look as a running back running into a gap. So you just, as a defensive front, working in reverse, the offensive line being the defensive backs, you move them out of the way to create lanes. It's just backwards. And so you don't get mad at DK Metcalf if he doesn't perform the way you would like to, if it means that somebody else like Tyler Lockett is eating all game. It's because one is enabling the other. We say, well, he's being double teamed. Darrell Taylor might be getting double teamed when he's doing that spin back move into the B gap, which opens something up for someone else like Jones. Something to think about when you critique defensive linemen. I did see him get throttled on some of these running plays, but ultimately he's battling, he's scrappy. So I just want to give credit to Darrell Taylor. Just a good ability to fight on that edge. And the whole defensive line did. Coby Bryant. I don't remember who said it on Twitter. I apologize. They said he was getting dribbled, which is fitting for his name. Might have been Hustle Chilson. And he was. He's afraid of missing the pursuit angle, so he pauses and then puppy feets, dribbles, and then the guy just runs right by him. And that was happening a lot. And maybe it's because he's not used to tackling, but he played the week before, I think. But that was always a problem when he got drafted and brought in, is he's athletically not quite there. It's not his fault, right? Some players, they just need to play smarter. And he does play super smart. But it feels like he's hesitating on a lot of these plays. And maybe that's the core problem, is he's afraid of getting beat. He's afraid of blowing past this guy. And there is something to dribble containment, hope somebody else has a chance to come up and catch up to you. But, man, it was like they were, when you do one-on-one and you check the ball, it was like they were at checking distance and they were just standing there waiting for the play to start. Always scrappy, always battling. I cannot wait for Devin Witherspoon to come back. So here's the thing. This week, nothing happens in the first half. And then in the second half, the third quarter starts and we start running the ball and our offense looks good. And then at the end of the fourth quarter, desperation drive at the end of the game, Geno Smith drives down the field and we secure the lead and we win because of a defensive stop the following drive. Sounds really fucking familiar because against the Eagles, nothing happened against the Eagles for the first half. Second half started, third quarter, we started running the fuck out of the ball. And then we got in contention just enough where at the very end of the game, Drew Lock drives down the field, puts us in the lead. Defense make a stop the next drive, game's over, we win. A fly just entered my room. It is gigantic. Oh my God. So all of this is to say, there's a question. Which quarterback would you rather have, Drew Lock or Geno Smith? Because it's the same results, except the Eagles were a much better defense. I mean, they were a healthy defense. And when you look at this Titans defense, injured all over, but they're tough as fuck. So, is there a difference? I mean, Geno Smith looks a little bit more under control under pressure. I like his footwork. He stays in the pocket. He takes better care of the football, or does he? He's been throwing those out routes that keep getting picked all year. But everywhere else, he seems to take pretty good care of the football. And when you look at Drew Lock, explosive outside running. Yeah, I think about it. When he's escaping the pocket, he escapes the pocket a lot like Mahomes does, where he's trying to make all this time and space on the outside, and he's got good quickness about him. Geno's not quite as quick outside. But I'm not so sure about his decision making with the ball, because when you look at the end of that drive against the Eagles, the DK Metcalf butt catch was him stripping the ball from the defender with one hand. There was another dropped interception on that drive too. So under pressure, he slings it, and you might get an interception or you might get success, because they're all explosive passing plays. It's like Ricardo Lockett jumping up for a moon ball and taking it out of a defender's hands. Was that a good play? I don't know, but good job by the skill position player out there playing defense. And so when you look at Geno Smith, at least we know in crunch time, he takes care of the football. So I want to roll with Geno Smith for the rest of the season for that reason. But going into next year, are we picking up his contract and paying him $32 million for that? You're basically paying for that. Aren't there other quarterbacks out there that could possibly fill the same role as Geno Smith can, where we don't do anything the whole first quarter, we finally run the ball, now we're good, take care of the football in the fourth and win it? That's the formula, is run the ball, take care of it, and then win it in the fourth quarter as we run out the clock the entire game. I mean, I don't know what's going on with this Eagles game right now, but Tyrod Taylor was coming in there and doing it. They sat DeVito. They needed somebody that could take care of the ball and run the offense. Tyrod Taylor, actually, for a while there, he had one of the best interception ratings in all of history, NFL history. I don't know where he's at right now. But you're telling me that we can't take $15 million from Geno Smith's contract when we drop him. I mean, let him walk, right? He'll go get paid by some other team. Maybe the Falcons. He can throw to Drake London and Pitts. You pick him up, that's $30 million. But if you let him go, what can you do with that money? Doesn't sound like a lot until you realize that an offensive lineman costs like $10 million. You want to upgrade your tight end room? Like, yeah, we got Fant. We'll let him go, and we'll just upgrade. You want to maybe shift that money around, pay Damian Lewis, keep him going, Maybe extend somebody early? I don't know. What if Tyler Lockett also walks? There's so much money there. If there's a big-time free agent offensive lineman, maybe let Geno Smith go. Get an all-pro or a bunch of Pro Bowlers with that money. Stack up the offensive linemen with these two big tackles out there and your left guard. So basically upgrade right guard and center. And then just get another running back in the draft. So you have 3 of these freaking second round picks. And just hum. Pay for a Tyrod Taylor or something to come in. Because if it's going to be a similar result, hell, maybe even keep Drew Lock in there. And maybe him having more experience will, because he's a young kid. That was the reason why you wanted him in the trade, was that he was super young, and you could develop him behind Geno Smith. If you decide to drop Geno Smith, keep Drew Lock, have him take care of the ball better in the in this next season, because he's getting more reps with these receivers. Maybe it leads to less, and then if you take that money that you wouldn't be paying Geno Smith, Drew is not going to get paid Geno Smith money. He's going to get paid low money right now. So if you make him the starter competing with the quarterback you draft with, if you can't take care of the ball, you just use one of the quarterbacks that you draft with to compete with him, aka the Matt Flynn deal. Except you're not paying him Matt Flynn money. And then you just stock up on the offensive line or the rest of the offense. Spread that money around. And let's fucking go. One last thing. Quandre Diggs and Julian Love play a lot better when Jamal Adams isn't on the field. And it's probably because they're not making up for his mistakes. And that's the truth. Thank you so much for being here at First Kick Seahawks. Please like and subscribe. I'm going to do this Ravens 49ers game next. If you recall, I said that the 49ers were going to beat the Ravens in the Super Bowl. But to my surprise, my gut response is to predict that the Ravens are going to beat the 49ers on Monday Night Football tonight, this Christmas Day. So I'm going to drink some water and take a piss. And we're going to see. I'll be rooting for the Ravens. Let's go Lamar Jackson. I don't want him to have a lot of games because of fantasy football reasons. But, maybe Gus Edwards will have an amazing day. Who knows? But let's go. Happy holidays.